Good morning, good afternoon, good evening. I suppose it all depends on what part of the world you are in. This is RobMotive Live. I got to get my iPad up here so I can see what you guys are seeing, see comments, that kind of stuff. Anyway, I hope everybody is having a fantastic Wednesday. It is a crappy day here. You can see outside there. It is rainy, nasty. It is, I don't know, probably in the 70s here though. So that's one good thing, right? I mean, if you have to have nasty weather, at least it needs to be warm, right? So given the, oops, gotta get the ads off of there. You gotta have ads if you're a YouTuber, right? I mean, that means you're getting paid. So we did drive, another Toyota Tacoma, the 2024 version, recently, and I'm gonna tell you my second impressions of that. Is this camera always crooked? I really needed better setup. You know, right now, if I could show you guys, which I can't, I'm on a kind of improvised tripod, kind of rickety thing with the iPhone kind of hanging half on there. We are using an iPhone, by the way. So anyway, I drove my second Toyota Tacoma just yesterday, I think it was. It was the TRD Sport, because if you watch the channel, and by the way, if you're just clicking on and you haven't, click that subscribe button so that you don't miss out on any videos or, you know, whatever. Who knows what might happen here. But anyway, it helps me out a lot. I'd really appreciate it. And click that thumbs up button while you're on here, assuming you like the stream. I mean, I assume you do since you're here. Anyway, a dealership in my area actually had another one. I think they actually have had maybe three or four or five maybe Tacomas come in, which is amazing for down here, right? I mean, we haven't gotten that many Toyota Tacomas. So I went over to the dealership. It was a 24 TRD Sport. It was in the, what do they call it? Sonic red, blazing red. I forget what it's called, that vibrant red color. And I have to say, you know, my list of colors when I first started thinking about which Tacoma I would get was solar octane, red, which is orange, by the way, the solar octane, red, blue, and then underground, which is that kind of pastelish kind of gray color, right? But when I went and saw that red color that they have now sitting out there in the natural light, it is a deep, rich, vibrant color. Toyota did an awesome job with that color, I got to admit. And now I've changed my list. It's now red, solar octane, blue crush, which is blue, a darker blue, and then the underground color for what I would be willing to take when, and I'll stress when, because I think it's probably a foregone conclusion that I will be getting the new Tacoma, right? It's just a matter of when and probably what trim, although I have decided on the trim for sure now. Let's get to a couple of comments on here before we move on. Elizardo says, happy hump day. Happy hump day to you, Elizardo. How are you? Michael Kokoza. Hi, Rob. Did you pull the plug and buy a new 2024 Toyota Tacoma? Well, you're just going to have to stay tuned to the channel for that, because you know that when I do, it will be on the channel, of course. Jeff Fielder says, saw 3 loads of Tacomas going north this morning from Mexico. I believe it. And you know, I think it was the last live stream I did, I was talking about how it seems that Toyota has opened the floodgates, and now, finally, the new Tacomas are heading out. There have been a couple of issues. We've talked about those, you know, the driveline thing, which, by the way, I did hear that those guys had the whole front differential replaced as opposed to just a component part. I don't know if that's necessarily necessary. Maybe that part could have been replaced that failed, but I imagine Toyota also wants to study it as well. So I guess I'm not surprised that they would have replaced the whole part, but that was the remedy. Whether that is the ultimate fix or not, I'm not sure, but that's what I've heard has happened. 909 boys, red. Yeah, that red color. Has anybody out there seen the new red in person in like bright sunlight? It has like this deep, vibrant hue to it. I mean, if it had a little bit of black in it, it would almost, probably would, start to look like that cherry black color, which by the way is my favorite all-time color, I think, of any vehicle is cherry black. Nobody makes a cherry black, but man, this new Toyota is starting to get close. Pretty cool. Michael Kokoza. Okay, so what trip level? It was the TRD Sport. Awesome. We're going to get into it in just a minute. Doug Dongfang. Does Tacoma still... What? Does Tacoma still make in Texas? Do they still make the Tacoma in Texas? No. They're all built in Mexico now. For years, they were kind of 50-50. San Antonio, Texas, and then I think it was Baja, California, Mexico. So for years, they've been built in both places. Just depends on which one you got, really. So no, they are all built in Mexico now. And I know a lot of people like to complain about that. It's probably more a political thing, which, you know, we don't get into politics on the channel. You were just as apt to get one built in Mexico before as one built in San Antonio, Texas. So there weren't any big problems because of that in the past. I don't believe that any problems going forward are going to be due to geographic assembly. I said built earlier, it's assembly location. Toyota has the same quality policy throughout the company. It's not like they say, well, the ones that we're building in Texas, you got to build them this way. And the ones that we're building over in Mexico, you guys can just do it. I mean, that's not how it works. So regardless of where they put them together, and I stress put them together because nothing, I don't care what you're building or where it is solely built in any country. We are a one world country now at sea, or world economy, and everything comes from everywhere, and then it's assembled together, particularly when you're dealing with cars and trucks, right? Let's see, Michael. All I have seen so far in New Hampshire is the black and white. Yeah, Toyota by far is putting out more black and white trucks. Black, white, silver, gray, that's their thing. And they do that because, you know, when you start building anything in a specific color that's different than just average, some people are going to want it and some people aren't, as opposed to everybody that might take a more bland or average color. So, I mean, it makes sense and it's our fault. You know, if we bought all of the vibrant colors, for instance, if, let's go wild here. Let's say that everybody loved pink, which I'm not a fan of pink. But let's say everybody loved pink. You would see a predominant supply of pink Tacomas, right? I mean, they're building them based on what people want. It makes perfect sense to me. So, you know. Let's see. Chad Kranatz. Hey, Chad, what's up, buddy? Chad is a member of the channel. I appreciate that, Chad. That's why you see his name in green. Chad says, what up, Rob, and how are you doing? I'm on my lunch break. I'm doing good, Chad. By the way, what is for lunch today? And do you bring your lunch or do you go out and get something every day? You know, when I worked the brick and mortar, I mostly brought my lunch because frankly, by the time I drove somewhere, stood in line with all the other brick and mortar folks out there, my lunch was over and I didn't like that. So I brought it to work, put it in the fridge, got it out and had my full lunch to enjoy, I guess. The only problem with that is though, of course, is people tend to bother you. If your door is closed, I had an office, if your door is closed, they still come knocking on they know you're at lunch, right? No respect, man. Anyway, let's move on. Taco Driven says, love the taco grill lit up on the wall. Yeah, check that out. Isn't that cool? Of course, the insert was on the green electric line Tacoma, and I had the exterior surround from the Voodoo Blue Tacoma, and everything fit. So I decided to go ahead, put it together because I wasn't going to have it on the truck, and then if or when I do get the new truck, it won't fit because it's a whole different grill. So I bought a 12-volt transformer and wired it up, and now I just plug it into the outlet, and that's what you get. So far, so good. Everything is running well, and it looks pretty cool. I like it. It's a good backdrop, too, along with, of course, the new Tacomas printed out on paper. Kind of tacky, I know. I should have, like, LED screens back there with pictures of the Tacomas on them or something. I don't know. Maybe a scrolling, driving, something. I don't know. Let's see. Joe Stone Specialists, LLC. Good morning. What's going to be the first mod? Well, my first mod, it's one of two. Either tint the windows or remove the badging. That's typically what I do. When I say remove the badging, I'm talking about removing the dealer stuff too. You know, either the license plate surrounds or stickers they always put somewhere, usually on the tailgate. That stuff has to go. That's my first mod, if you will. I know it's not much of a mod. It's more of a removal, but it does modify the appearance of the truck. So I'm gonna stay with mod. We're gonna just call it that. I've got my foot up on a chair or whatever here, so that's why you keep seeing me moving around. We're gonna get to the test drive here in just a minute, by the way. And gotta remind you guys again, if you haven't, click that subscribe button while you're here. I'd really appreciate it. Joel Munoz, Rob, what do you think of the bronze oxide color? I haven't seen it in person. You know, when I went and did my second test drive, they were supposed to have one there, but I think whoever bought it, because it was already sold, had already picked it up. I didn't see it. So I like it in pictures. I don't know if I'd like it in person. Until you see it, you know, who knows? So, let's see. Tweak Boy, do you think there will ever come a time when you can build and order a Tacoma, in the color and options you want? Not specifically. Yes, there will be a time when you can order a color you want for sure, but you're never going to have an a la carte menu where you can pick and choose only the options you want. You're going to have to choose packages, which means you're going to get things you don't want. Economically, it just doesn't make sense. It's way more costly for them to build with specific things than just to pull a package and put that in. So no, you're never going to have that. And I don't know that there's any manufacturer, unless you buy like a Lamborghini or a Bugatti or something like that, where you're paying millions, in the case of Bugatti, that you could ever do that. Those times are gone. It just doesn't make sense economically for any manufacturer. John Dong Fang, do you experience any paint issues with your Tacoma? I own a 2023 off-road super white. On certain parts, the paint seems pretty thin. No, the only issue I may have seen was from bird droppings. You're never going to get away with that. They kind of start to eat through the clear coat. But I never had any problems with paint on a Tacoma. I did have a tailgate on, I think it was on the red Barcelona, the Barcelona red one I had, where there was a chip in the paint. And that was probably a manufacturing issue, I'm guessing. But I've never had any degradation of paint or any problems like that on any of my Toyota Tacomas. It's always been pretty good. Javier Ramos, my Tacoma will never have any issues because it was built in Texas, I hope. Never is a long time. Sooner or later, your Tacoma is going to have issues, if for no other reason than old age. They are machines, they're mechanical, of course, and no machine runs forever without an issue. So, yeah, I don't know. Again, I don't know that it really matters, you know, where it was built. Toyota has the same quality policy and procedures, regardless of where it's built. So, Christopher Garacci. Sorry, Chris. I'm not sure if I ever get your last name right. No 2024 Tacoma. No 2024 Tacoma. 4Runner 2024. I'm not sure what you mean there. There aren't any 2024s in stock, or you're saying you want a 2024 4Runner? I mean, I'm not a 4Runner guy, so the 4Runner's not an option for me. So if that's what you mean, it's not an option for me. Maybe for you, which is cool, you know. Desert 67, Rob, the Tacoma has become your hobby, an expensive hobby, I must say. It's not my hobby. I love the Tacoma, don't get me wrong, but it is an integral part of my job because this is what I do for a living. I've talked about this many times. I am a professional content creator on Google, AKA YouTuber, and the Toyota Tacoma is my focus on this channel. I do have two other channels, by the way. RobMotive 2, like T0 or TOO 2, like also, and RobMotive JL about the RAV4, which I just got not long ago, and the Jeep Wrangler. So check those out. And by the way, we got 118 people on here now. If you haven't subscribed, click that subscribe. Oops. Click that subscribe button. Sorry, wasn't meaning to give you a gesture. Everybody's so sensitive now. I can just see in the comments, Rob flipped us off. No, I'm just pointing. But click that subscribe button if you would. Helps out the channel, shows me a little love. I'd really appreciate it. Let's have a little sip of the green nectar. Not sponsored by Mountain Dew. It's my second favorite drink. I say not sponsored because I'm not. I just gave them a free shout out, you know? They should call me, email me. I'm here. I'm right here. Let's see. Toadster Tacoma. What model do you think you will settle on? Sport, off-road, pro version, trail hunter. What are your thoughts? It'll be the Sport, the TRD Sport. Let's get back into this now. One more comment here. I bring my lunch. Good for you. Save a little money too, Chad. That's awesome. I used to do it every day. The TRD Sport is what I'm looking at. I drove the Sport twice now. And let's get into it. I drove it the second time around and I was paying more attention to ride quality, acceleration, comfort, power, space inside the cab, gauge cluster. You know, I noticed when I drove the first one, I didn't pay much attention to what the gauge cluster looked like. So the second one, I took a closer look and man, it's awesome. It's all digital and stuff and it has different settings and things. I'd have no idea how to work that, so that'll be a learning curve. But it was pretty awesome the way it's set up. The room inside, the truck also felt bigger overall, driving it on the road, and it might be because of the hood scoop. You know, you have that extra metal, plastic, whatever it is, integrated into the hood, and it makes the hood feel bigger. So I think it might actually make the truck feel bigger. But it's not a bad feeling. It felt Tundra-like to me. And no, I'm not talking about the design and what it looks like. People that say, oh, it's a mini Tundra. Well, maybe it is, but that's not what I'm talking about. I'm talking about just the girth of it, the size of it, the footprint of it. It just felt bigger to me, which wasn't a bad thing. This is a Tacoma after all, right? You know, when I got back in my green Tacoma to head home, I was a little disappointed. It felt smaller. It certainly is rougher. It certainly isn't quite as powerful, even with the pedal commander, which, by the way, you've got to have if you've got a third generation Tacoma. I mean, man, if you don't, you are really missing out. But even with that, the new Tacoma, I could only imagine the new Tacoma with a pedal commander. Geez, it probably with wings would fly or something. I don't know. But more, or rather less powerful on the Gen 3, and it actually felt dated. You know, I never really noticed that too much. A lot of people talk about that. Oh, the Tacoma's dated, you need to do blah, blah, blah. Everybody was crying for the redesign until they got the redesign. And everybody's bitching about it being a redesign, and it's not a Tacoma. It doesn't look the same. Well, no kidding. It's not going to look the same. I mean, it's a new design, right? We got what we wanted, so we could cry about it. But it just felt older to me. It didn't feel as good. The new Tacoma on that second drive, just to kind of cement what I had thought, was definitely more powerful, was definitely more comfortable. When I say comfortable, two facets to that. Sitting in the seat is so much better. You know, I had to put seat jackers in my green Tacoma to get that front end up. Even with the 10-way power adjustable seats, I could never get the front up high enough because when you start adjusting everything else, the front drops and you can't recover. It doesn't come back up. That sucked. So I had to put seat jackers in there. If you're not familiar with those, they're little blocks that go underneath the two front bolts, hold downs, whatever you want to call it. on the seat that move it up a little bit. That way, when you adjust the angle of the seat, you could actually get it to a point where it was comfortable. Not necessary in the new Tacoma, at least the TRD Sport. Now, one thing I do want to add, you have to go up in trim levels to get power seats in the new Tacoma, right? The TRD Sport, both of them that I drove had manual seats, and I didn't notice on the first one, but the second one had power lumbar. It had a little button on the side that you push, and it, you know, that little air bladder that's in there for the lumbar support would bring it in and bring it out. So there is a power component to it, but the seats themselves were manual. But the front end felt good. And it also had that little pump thing, you know, where you could pump the seat up or down, which is fine because I never mess with the power seats anyway. Once I get the seats where I want them, I never touch them again. So I don't know why that would be a problem. Let's get back to some comments here, and then we're going to carry on about this. There's a couple other things about this new Tacoma that I noticed the second time around. The Collector 99. I'd love to have a next-gen 4Runner, but I can't imagine the price. Given what they've done with the Tacoma, I think you're right. The price is going to be outrageous. You're probably looking at, man, I don't know, 60,000 low end, 70, 80,000 high end. For a 4Runner, I don't know if that's true or not, but it's going to be up there, I'm sure. 2023 or 2024 TRD 4x4 and why? At this point, after driving the 2024 and having the 2023, I would go 2024. I mean, it's just such a marked improvement as the things that I had mentioned over the 2023. It's well worth it, in my opinion. And by the way, you got to give it a chance. I know there's been a lot of negative, at least in the forums and in social media, a lot of negative perceptions about the new Tacoma. And I think that's coming from people who have not driven one. You've got to go drive one because you're going to change your mind. I mean, when you get in that truck and you take off and it goes, and when you go over the road, the bumps, the junk, and it's smooth, and the space and the tech, I mean, you're going to be amazed. You've got to get in one and drive it. You know, I know people love to throw out their opinions on things just from pictures, and I'm guilty of that too. I mean, I've got plenty of videos out there of me maybe shedding a negative light on the new Tacoma, but after experiencing it, I'll admit it, I was wrong. Let's move on. Mike S., triple thumbs up. Thank you. And speaking of that, if you haven't subscribed yet, click that subscribe button. Give me a thumbs up. I'd appreciate it. Show me some love. We need Barry White in the background. Wah, 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 wah. Love. Not that kind of channel. Let's see. My something 51. Tell me, is it worth getting a new Tacoma? We got to get into that in just a minute because there's another misconception out there that I have got to talk about. Let me get back to that in just a second. Desert 67, are there any rumors of a modified V6 returning? That is never going to happen. I know people keep talking about that. You know, it's like wishing we were back to horse and buggy days. Do you think we'll ever get rid of cars and go back to horse and buggies? No, that's not going to happen. That's a backwards move as far as the economics involved with Toyota. You know, they didn't spend all that money, retool all their lines, spend all the marketing budget, and now they're going to go back to the V6. It's not going to happen. It's not going to happen. Mike S., Rob, did the braking feel more responsive on the 4th gen compared to the 3rd gen? I didn't notice any difference. And speaking of braking, everybody was complaining about the rear brakes, disc versus drum, blah, 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 which of course they changed. I didn't notice any difference. You know, for me, brakes, you push on the pedal and it stops. It's not that big a deal. It's not like it weighs 10 million tons and you need all this braking power. Maybe it makes a difference in towing. I don't know. I really don't understand what the big controversy is for the brakes that Toyota had versus what they have now. I didn't notice any difference whatsoever. So this message is held for review. That's nice. Hassam, oh, I see. Hassam posted, let's see. a bunch of stupid icons. I mean, come on, man. It's never going to make it through, Hassan. I don't know if you're 10 years old or what, but we're just going to hide that. You guys never saw it, nor is it that kind of channel. You know, I think we need like there probably is, a channel for people that just want to get on and post stupid things. You know, you all can just post stupid things back and forth and giggle like teenage boys or girls or whatever. I don't know, but it's not here. Let's move on. Uno says, Roberto. Hello, bud. I hope you test drove the manual. You can't find a manual. Come on, a manual? What's a manual? You know, manuals are a dying breed. I would love to have, because I like manual transmissions, but I've talked about this. The Voodoo Blue that I had was horrible, in my opinion. I doubt they changed the manual at all. I would guess it's the same transmission paired up with the new 4-cylinder turbo, but I did not like it at all. Let's see. Where was I? I lost my spot. There it is. Stephen S. I own a 2021 Sport. There is some ticking in the engine. The dealership says that's normal. They are correct. That's inherent to the Tacoma. You're going to get a tick, 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 tick. That's my impression. It's normal. Don't worry about it. Uno, Stephen, that's definitely normal on a Taco. There you go. See that? I have Uno backing me up. And you don't mess with Uno, because he is a dude, man. Rolando says, my 2023 SR5 6-foot bed has the electronic driver's seat and lumbar pump. Yeah, they started with the electronic seats, or electric seats, I think it was 2023. It could have been a year earlier. I don't remember when they first came in, but I think it was 2023. Maybe a little earlier. I'm not sure. Let's see. Nilüfer Medova. Some emojis. Welcome to the channel. Protocol 7. Those V6 Taco engines will outlive us, ticking or not. Yeah, it's inherent to the truck. They do tick. It's kind of like Hondas. Hondas have a weird sound, at least the Civics, kind of a ticky sound. They last forever. So do the Tacomas. Now, let's talk about a couple of other things I noticed about this TRD Sport. One, I can tell you that the tailgate depth, not the width, but the depth is greater. Because I looked at that trying to see or figure out if my snail armor insert would fit, which is now hanging on the wall right up there, and it will not, because they also changed the configuration of the top of the tailgate. Why they didn't do away with that ribbed for your displeasure, I don't know, because it's horrid. Knee killer. You kneel on that thing and it is horrid. Try to sit a drink or something on it, it falls over, spills all over the place. And it's just horrible, but they kept it. It's the same thing. The rear window. It looks like they just took a piece of glass and plopped it up against the frame, the cab. I don't know why. Toyota, that's one thing that you're going to see change on the next years. On the Tacoma, they're going to more integrate that window. I don't know why they did it the way that they did it. It doesn't look good. It looks like a piece of glass stuck there. If there's any complaint I have about the new Tacoma, that's it. That window, it's odd, it's weird. And then also, there is no compartment in the back of the bed, at least on the two that I drove, or the last one, the second one, anywhere. So you don't have any kind of cubby back there. That is an option, I guess, for a compressor on maybe the Trail Hunter, maybe the Pro, but they don't have it on the TRD Sport, at least the one that I drove. So, not a big deal. I mean, it was nice to have that to be able to throw like gloves or bungee cords or something like that, but more prone to being stolen unless you put a lock on it, or getting wet or dirty because it had drainage holes on the bottom so water could come up from underneath. You couldn't store anything in there that you didn't want to get wet unless you waterproofed it yourself. So yeah, two big things that, not big things, but differences that I noticed the second time around. There's many others, of course. Mountain Dew. Still not sponsored, by the way. Oops, I dropped my cat. Man, I hate when that happens. Woo! All right, let's, I got to get to this buying thing, this big misconception, because there's a huge misconception about price and buying on the new Tacoma. And by the way, speaking of buying, even though it costs you nothing, go ahead and click that subscribe button. I'd really appreciate it. Just real quick, that's all it takes. Let's get back to some comments, then we're going to get to this pricing and buying thing from what I have seen out in the market. Let's see. Where was I? I've lost my place. Amar. I'm seeking true love from a pleasantly plump. Now, Amar, come on, bud. You know this isn't that kind of channel, right? I mean, why? This isn't a dating channel. I mean, that's probably why you're not having any success, because you're posting comments on forums that have nothing to do with your desires. You know what I'm saying? And I personally don't care. Let's see. Rudy Storing. What's a manual? Hello from Norway. Oh, come on. And hello, by the way. In Norway, you guys must have a lot of manual transmissions. I hear in different countries, they're still very predominant. Am I wrong? Am I hearing the wrong things, or are there a lot of manuals over in Norway? Jaden Henry, brush up. You act like you know everything about cars and something in trucks you don't know it. Jaden, are you having a bad day, buddy? Is someone not treating you well? Don't take your aggression out on me. You don't even know me, brother. Come on, man. Century 20. Is the loss of value 2023 for 2024 digestible? That all depends on you. Digesting the loss of value, because it's always big on anything you sell, is never fun. Although I gotta say, I recently traded off a Toyota Prius, and I didn't make money, but I actually got money back on the deal. It hasn't happened in a while, so that was a pretty good deal. But that depends on your tolerance for such things. I mean, you're never gonna sell the truck or car or whatever it is for what you paid. And I'm talking about the whole price, the vehicle itself, tax, tags, title, delivery, fees, warranty, whatever it is you spent for that vehicle, you're never gonna recoup that. So that's a decision you have to make, you know? Let's see, Chad Kranatz. I think the 4th gen off-road Tacoma rides smoother than my 3rd gen that I got to test drive and had more torque. You're absolutely right, Chad. I mean, and let's talk about that for a second. The new Toyota Tacoma is a completely different truck. I mean, it is completely different, to the point that after I did my 2nd test drive, I'm thinking, you know what? I'm not going to know anything about this truck. I'm going to have to actually read the manual, because it's all new. It's not like the Tacomas that I've been buying for years, little problem I have, were all the same, pretty much. I mean, you did have the addition of electric seats, which, how hard is that to figure out? And a new infotainment system. It wasn't exactly horribly different either. But this new one, everything is different. So a lot of new things to try to figure out, man. Miguel Ayales. Sorry, I tried. What is the best Tacoma of 2024 for you? They released 6 models, the TRD Sport. Now, I haven't driven any other model, so am I really qualified to say that? Probably not, but the TRD Sport was just so freaking awesome. Both times that I can't see going to anything else. Let's see. Bobcats, Rob, you have to test drive a manual before you pull the trigger. You're not going to find a manual. I mean, if the manuals come in, first of all, there's such a small number of people that want them. When they do come in, they're probably going to be snatched up. And secondly, Toyota's going to be producing hardly any of them. It's like 4 to 6%, something like that, of new Tacomas produced in 2023, I think it was, were manual transmissions. You're not going to find them to test drive. That's the problem. So, you know, good luck. I don't think that's really going to be possible. I'd like to, don't get me wrong. Jonathan Ratliff, Power Driver's Seat 2020. Excuse me. With the refresh, you're right. Absolutely. Uno, take care of yourself, Rob. Got to get back to work. Give my best to Mrs. Rob. Hey, Uno, thanks for being on, buddy. I appreciate it. Bill W. I am going to wait 2 years and then only buy an SR5 with a 4-banger if I am forced to. Well, you're never forced to. I mean, it's your money. You do what you want. You could buy something else. You could even stay used and still have the V6 naturally aspirated. But, you know, I don't think you'll be disappointed. You should go drive the new one, not with the intent in buying it, but as a fact-finding mission. That's what I think everybody should do. I think everybody should go drive it. You know, I'm not saying you're in the market, but go to the dealership, take one for a spin if you can find one. And then you'll know what it's really like, you know. Mike S. Mellow Yellow is greater than Mountain Dew. Nah, not for me. I mean, it's close, but I prefer the Dew myself. John Caggiano, do you have to put premium in the new Tacoma with the turbo? No. Another rumor. No, you do not. It burns 87 and up, I guess, octane. You do not. Mike S. I wish the extra cab was available with the TRD Sport. It is available. You just don't have doors that open. You have to access it through the front doors. So it is available. Joe Petranglo. Drove one last week, seen one on the road today, and it's the first new vehicle that's got me excited in a long time. It's like being a kid again. Right there. I don't know Joe. I didn't pay Joe to say that. Why would I? I don't own Toyota. But there is a firsthand, really good explanation of the first drive of the new Tacoma. Let's see. Mike S. It does look incredible, Joe. It is. It's awesome. Protocol 7. They look really good, but I'm still happy, with my electric Lime 3rd gen. And no reason not to be. There's nothing wrong with the 3rd gen. I mean, I'm not saying that you need to ditch the 3rd gen because it's such a horrid truck and go buy the 2024 Tacoma. Not necessary at all. The 3rd gen will last a long time. So if you're happy with it, keep it. I mean, if I, honestly, and people have asked me this, if you weren't a YouTuber, would you buy the new 2024 Tacoma? And the answer is probably not. Why? Not because I don't like it or anything's wrong with it or the 3rd gen is better or any of that stuff. Financially, it doesn't make a lot of sense, right? I mean, I have the green one and it's paid for. It has only 2,000 some miles on it. Why the hell would I buy a new truck? I've got a new truck. But for what I do for a living, I need to stay current, and I like the new Tacoma. I wouldn't have bought it, or wouldn't buy it, or wouldn't consider buying it if I didn't like it, right? I mean, I don't buy vehicles I don't like just for the sake of running the channel. I will never do that. You'll never see me buy a vehicle I don't like just to be on YouTube. That's number one. I have to like the vehicle. So, let's see. It does look incredible. Dwayne Moore. Hey, Rob, have you seen the video where the 2024 4x4 front differential broke while testing? Yes, that has been beaten to death. Yes, I have. Sean Tanner, as far as pricing, said that we can pick up an SR5 Tundra quoted the same or optioned the same as an SR5 Tacoma for the same money. Easy to say. In reality, we're going to talk about that pricing in just a second. Stephen S., what year and model was your first Tacoma? Oh, God. Somewhere in the teens, 2000 some teen, I don't remember. And it was, I think it was a pre-runner, I think. I don't remember off the top of my head. I wasn't into YouTube and stuff then. It was just a truck that I liked, so that's why I bought it. Who would have known where it was going to lead me, right? Let's see. Jonathan Ratliff. I think the new Tacoma looks even better than in pictures, in my opinion. It does. It really does. You have to go see one in person before. I did the same, judging it from pictures. It just looks so much better in person. Let's see. Michael says, what would your first mod be on the 2024? Talked about that a minute ago. Simple things. Debadging, removing dealers stuff, tinting, stuff like that. Those would be my first. They're not really mods, but they are changes to the truck. So Robert Hannaford, Toyota has a paint treatment called Automate. I've always bought it, but it seems like it might be snake oil. Probably. Best way to take care of your paint is, first of all, never get it dirty. Good luck. You have to cover it and never drive it. And secondly is to wash it and wax it. That's it. And pay attention to how you wash it and wax it. Don't use materials that'll damage the paint. If a bird goes to the bathroom on it, clean it off as soon as possible. That stuff is acidic and it will eat through your clear coat and expose the paint. What an average price if we lease 2024 TRD 4x4 Sport? What an average price. I'm not sure what you're getting at there. Donays, hey Rob, how are you? Apparently, mostly car YouTubers are buying 4th gen for reviews. That's why I can't get mine. I wouldn't say mostly. I mean, there aren't that many of us out there to support a whole industry, I don't think. But there certainly are a lot of YouTubers doing it. I mean, and it makes sense. If you're a pro YouTuber like me, you're going to have to buy it eventually because you have to stay relevant, right? By the way, if you haven't, speaking of relevance, smash that subscribe button right now. I'd really appreciate, I'm asking if you would. Smash that subscribe button. I'd really appreciate it. And give me a thumbs up while you're at it. Let's move on here. Sean Tanner, I've gotten purchase offers on both SR5 Tundra and SR5 Tacoma, same options, with discounts on Tundras, both $49K. As close on options as you could get. Awesome. PUBG, big dog something. Hey, do you know that guy standing behind you? I don't. Never seen him. Have no idea who he is. Mike S, triple thumbs up, quadruple thumbs ups. Thank you very much. I appreciate that. Now, I want to finish here on pricing. You know, everybody's going crazy about pricing and about how much money it is and the add-ons and how much more and blah, blah, blah. Keep in mind, you can still negotiate pricing. You don't have to go in there thinking that you have to pay the sticker plus any dealer markup or add-ons. You know, the one benefit of buying allocated trucks is you can get rid of some of the add-ons that aren't even on the truck yet. A lot of things are added to the truck when it comes in to the dealership. You don't have to take those things like paint protection, for example, window tint, security. You know, they have an extra security thing they'll do. All of that is big money makers for the dealer. It's good if you want it. I mean, I'm not saying don't buy it if you don't want it, but you don't have to. There are also great starting points, I guess, for negotiation. That dealer markup, yeah, they'd like to make that money. I mean, I'd love it right now if somebody super chatted me, you know, $500. That'd be really cool. And I wouldn't say no. I'd say thank you. But it's not a requirement. I'm not saying everybody on this stream needs to send me $500 right now, super chat. I mean, you know, nor do I even ask for that. I mean, I'm here because it's an opportunity for me to connect with you guys in a live format, right? So don't think that you have to go in and pay those prices. Pricing is actually a lot better than it sounds. Even though I know it's an increase, you really should only pay, man, probably about, and it's still a lot of money, but probably $2,000 to $3,000 more than what you would have paid last year, and leaning more towards the $2,000 mark. And don't settle for a low ball offer on your truck. They're going to try to give you as little as they can for it. It's the name of the game. It's the business, right? But you can always expect to get more out of your truck than what you're going to be offered to begin with. Obviously, they make money on both ends, selling your used vehicle to somebody else and selling the new vehicle to you. And I would venture to say they probably make more money on the used vehicles, especially right now with the Toyota Tacomas. So just make sure you don't give away your Tacoma if you're going to trade it off. You have a lot of power there. And keep in mind, you have all the power. Right? You're the one with the money. I mean, you can get up and walk out and go down the street anytime you want, right? So don't be browbeaten or convinced that you need to spend big money and take little money for your trade when you're in the market for a Tacoma. Hold steady. Go to the next one. And you know what? You'll find out if you're being reasonable or not, because if 10 dealers turn down your offer, then you're probably either trying to buy a truck you can't afford, trying to get one for money that is too low, or you need to change your philosophy in what you're willing to pay, All right, let's catch up on the comments here. Let's see. Justin Stevenson gave me a 1, 2, 3, 4 quintuple thumbs up. I appreciate that, buddy. Pug says, or PUBG, that's okay. I didn't see him either. Yeah, I'm not sure what you're talking about. Renico Von Dyke Peel. I don't know what that means. Jonathan Ratliff, ever consider getting a Lexus, Rob? No, not really into Lexuses. I like Mercedes, BMW, Porsche, Corvettes. I mean, if I'm going to get into luxury, I'm probably going to go that way. Audis. I mean, I like that stuff. I've never been a real Lexus fan. I just not. Matter of preference. Pub says, don't try to hold it in. That's just funny. Maybe if you're 10 years old, it's funny. I mean, come on, man. I'm not 10 years old. You think this is my first trip around the block? I mean, come on. Let's see. Pub says your smile is getting bigger. I hope so. I try to maintain a jovial attitude, but this is pretty much how I am normally, right? Life's too short, man. Let's see. Joel Munoz. Rob, have you looked at an SR5? What do you think? I have seen the SR. I have not seen an SR5 in person, and the SR was so bare bones, it was almost insulting. It felt like I had stepped back in time. This SR5 that they had at the dealership the first time I went in, man, nasty steely wheels, nothing on the inside. It looked sad. It looked like a sad truck. I just couldn't do it. Now, it's perfect if you're using it for work. I mean, you'd want the most basic you can, right? I mean, and honestly, I should be buying an SR or an SR5 because when I do get my truck, I'm going to mod it and stuff. So it doesn't make a lot of sense to spend the money on all that included stuff and then take it off and add new things. So, Mike S. says, great advice, Rob. Hey, just trying to share my experiences. I've bought over, 70 or 80 new vehicles in my life, which I do not recommend. It's the dumbest thing you can do. You're just throwing money away. It's so stupid. But I also do not belong to golf courses or drink and spend, I don't spend money in other ways. So that's how I justify it. I'm not a membership at the golf course paying God knows how much money a year. I'm not drinking bottles of whiskey and cases of beer and spending money that way, so we all spend money one way or the other. You just have to pick and choose, right? Let's see. Let's see. PUBG. That's the way they usually are at the car dealerships. You don't see that guy standing behind you. Oh, I see. You're making a car dealership reference. I did not connect the two. There can be somebody standing behind you. I don't know. Make sure their speakerphone's not on either. If you're there with somebody else and you're trying to have a private conversation, meanwhile the speaker's on and they're listening to you in the office. I'm not saying any dealership does that, but I might do that if I might. I don't know. Just make sure you are aware. Habib, name a car for an edit. I do not know what you're talking about. Jonathan Ratliff, SR has lower turbo boost and thus less stress on the engine. Maybe will aid in engine longevity. Maybe. We won't know until years pass, I don't think. Ellery Bice, get yourself that Tacoma before your upcoming health issues takes all your dough. That Mountain Dew is going to destroy... Buddy, I don't even know what you're talking about. And I hope you're not wishing me ill will, because that to me would be just sad. Dwayne Moore, Rob, you may have answered this question. Are you more interested in purchasing the 2024 Pro or off-road model? I would not purchase a 2024 Pro because frankly, it is way more truck than I need for my purposes. Doesn't mean you shouldn't buy it if you've got the cash and it's your thing. But to me, that is an ultra finished truck. And even buying a TRD version is probably more than I should be buying for what I do, but I like the TRD line. A Pro is too much, and I really don't dig those shock seats, and it's just got a lot of crazy stuff on it. It's not for me. My level is either SR5 or TRD, and then I might stretch it to that Trail Hunter, though, because I really do like that trim level, but we shall see. Ben 10, hi, how are you? Ben 10, used to love that cartoon, man. I'm good, how are you? Thiru Shorts, name a Ford, please. Mustang, of course. Sean Tanner, when you say the SR is bare bones, it is compared, wait a minute. It is compared to other modern day trucks, but compared to an SR5 of years ago, it's loaded. Power windows, blah, blah, blah. Well, it would be compared to a horse and buggy too, but I only speak on my experience in the present. Jonathan Ratliff, are you going to wait for the hybrid Taco, Rob? Going to be available soon? I don't believe it's going to be available until fall, maybe even winter. So I don't know what you mean by soon. No, I'm not going to wait. I won't be able to wait. Because I know how I am. I'm very impatient, and again, I also have the channel, so I need it for that, and I need it for me. It's that little voice, you know. No, I'm not gonna wait. Let's see. Ellery Bai said it is not the. Something's gonna, Ellery. I couldn't tell you what. I don't worry about such things. I live life, brother. Get off that recliner and get out there. Wait a minute, you're driving a truck. Now you can't tell me that's a healthy lifestyle, sitting on your arse driving around all the time. What are you trying to tell me how to be healthy? Come on, buddy. Let's see. Thiru Shorts, thanks. You're welcome. Jonathan Ratliff, we know how you are, Rob. I know, I don't hide it. I mean, you know, that's one thing with me. What you see is what I am. I am not an actor. I bet you couldn't tell that. So what you see is me. It's how I live. It's how I operate. It's how I think. I'm not hiding anything from you guys. Well, not much. I mean, you can't possibly know everything, right? Some things are private. But for the most part, when it comes to cars and trucks and Tacomas, this is me, man. There was a show called that, wasn't there? Let's see. Where was I? MJ Ick. He's apparently a nerd, or she. I don't know what their gender is from their name, but that's good. Nerds are okay. Hey. Elizardo, have a great afternoon, everyone. Be safe and be great. Tacoma, life for life. Long live the manual transmission. Hey, Elizardo, you have a great day, and thanks for being a part of the channel. I appreciate it. Let's see. We have a couple of children on here. Let's just go ahead and get rid of these. There goes a squirrel past my lot there. Where was I? Let's get rid of. Let's put this joker in timeout. That's what you do with children, right? There we go. That takes care of them. Let's move on. Dominic said, drove it again. Excuse me. Throat starts to get dry after talking for a while. Drove it again. Was it at a dealership in your area? Yes, it was. Again, the Toyota Tacomas are finally being released from Toyota, and we had some come into the area. So when I saw that it was available, yeah, I went to get it, to check it out. Ellery says, that's right. This job is not conducive to good health unless you eat healthy, exercise, and not let the industry ruin your mental health. I know. I mean, you're sitting most of the time. That can't be good for the back. And unless you eat a good diet, can't be good for the stomach. and driving by yourself all the time, unless you're taking your spouse with you or something, can't be good for the brain. Well, who knows? You have YouTube though, and guys like me to talk to. So that's what you should utilize that for your own health. Bill Dubb, thanks for the forum, Rob. Bill, thanks for being here. I appreciate it. Anyway, we're going to get off here. God, I've been on here almost an hour. It's amazing how fast the time flies when you do these live streams. I'm going to get off here. To answer somebody's question earlier, I think it will be the TRD Pro, or not Pro, geez, the TRD Sport for me. That's the trim level that I'm going to get. Excuse me. The Outdoors Dad says, what was the payload capacity on the truck? I have no idea. You'd have to look that up. I don't know. I'll be Susky. I would wait for the 25s and go and get a loaded TRD Sport. Not a loaded one for me. I don't want all that stuff because I'm going to customize it myself. So, Jonathan Ratliff, I hear Limited Taco is super smooth ride with that adaptive suspension. I don't know anything about the suspension in the Limited, but if it's smoother than the Sport, probably feels like you're in an electric vehicle. You know how they always, if you've driven one, how they feel? They just kind of feel like you're gliding. Probably similar to that. Mike S. Thanks, Rob. Well, thank you, Mike. Ellery Bice. I weigh 155 pounds, ripped, and have my liberty intact. No woman to give me any trouble. I bet that's lonely. I bet that's lonely life. But if you like it, that's for you, I suppose. Anyway, appreciate it very much. That's right. That's how I said it. Real quick, before I end this, before you and I get off of here, do me a favor. Click that subscribe button. I always have to ask. I really appreciate it. Again, it helps out the channel. Shows me a little bit of love in a good way, normal way. And I really do appreciate it. Stay tuned. Lots more to come. Of course, when I do, if I do get this new Tacoma, you guys will be the first to know. Let's see. Jonathan says, no woman to give me grief either, LOL. Boy, you guys, I don't know, man. A life of celibacy. Are you priests? I mean, which I don't know if every priest is celibate anymore either. Louis M. says, thanks, Rob. Jonathan says, have a great day, Rob, and smash the like button. Jonathan, I appreciate it. Thank you. Al says, thanks for the chat, Rob. You demand. You are all demand. And to women. We'll see you. Bye.